And we're back from a long hiatus. I don't think I've done one of these since December. God knows what episode it is. 7 or 8, maybe 9, who knows. Um, really, really happy to have Sean on here today. Mentor, friend, legend who I've worked with at Durham Lane and, stayed in touch with since then. He's done a lot of exciting things. Just started his own business. Really excited for him on that. Just talking about it a little bit offline there, and you can definitely see that you're happy. Sean, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, mate?
Yeah, thanks, Russ. Great to be here. I'm on the Wolf of Wallsend. What a name!
Which I did steal. I hold my hands up high. Luke Robinson called me out on the last episode for that, but he's not.
Yeah, that's a
He's
little
from nowhere near bloody Wallsend, is he? Sorry, carry on.
bit of a sore subject, that one, isn't it? Yeah. So my name's Sean Ball. As you know, set up my own business called Generation Demand, helping companies, predominantly B2B companies with complex value propositions, just sort out who they're going after and why, what they want to say to them, where they're going to reach them, and ultimately generate more demand faster.
Yeah,
How's
good
that?
stuff. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Definitely. I've got a cool video actually. I'll send it to you after this. I'm going to put it on LinkedIn. I'm really passionate on just like having a good, succinct elevator pitch for what you do, like pub talk. Do you know what I mean? And I think yours covers that well. But yeah, let's just roll straight into it. You all know the format by now. Shooting the shit, having a bit of crack and asking you some questions. But I know the answer to this one, I think, anyway, but listeners may not. Tell me a little bit about your first, because you've been marketing leader, demand gen leader for quite a while now, but you and I, we would jump on discovery calls together and you'd probably do just as much of the pre-sales work as anyone else. Probably more than some of us salespeople actually, when I think about it. But tell me about your first out in selling something, or like just having that conversation, building value, understanding the pains. My thinking, Sean, not to answer the question for you, was your own CRM little venture that you had going back a while. I don't know if that is it or not, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. It's funny, isn't it? Where does marketing end and sales begin? The lines are obviously increasingly blurred. But yeah, when I launched, was the world's first CRM for the PR industry. It was a little bit before its time, frankly. A lot of PRs just would suffer the pain of spreadsheets. But yeah, it was just the kind of challenge was, how do we sell more Microsoft Dynamics CRM? And identified a pain point that a lot of PRs struggle with, spreadsheets. And then I just kind of left it really. It was just, well, who's going to sell it? I was like, well, it probably has to be me really, because I'm the one who suffered the pain firsthand when I used to work in PR. And obviously came up with the idea and the kind of concept. But I learned a lot actually there, Russ, because it was a software platform and probably used to go straight into kind of demo, which I think is that's a big problem. I think a lot of sort of salespeople early in the career jump straight into trying to show people the platform, all the bells and whistles, without really trying to understand their particular pain point and why they are interested in it. Because often we come with you with a challenge of a pain point they might be experiencing, but if, like any good salesperson worth the salt, if you qualify and explore properly, often the challenge that they think they have isn't even often the real challenge. So that was a kind of a big opportunity, but also a lesson.
Interesting. Sean, could you do me a favor, please? I've lost your video. Could you maybe shut down any Zoom or like anything that might be taking up the bandwidth? Connect your phone from Wi-Fi. Look, got to see that pretty face of yours, mate.
Sure.
Give it a minute. I don't know if I can pause this or not, but
was this where we tell viewers we're having some technical difficulties?
Technical difficulties. It's the first time I've recorded this on Riverside FM, so shouts out to them. But they were supposed to oversee network issues like this and just keep it flowing. It's all right if not, if your video doesn't come back on. I don't know. I don't want to stop it in case it ends it. There we go. I think it's moving. See a
Coming
black
back.
screen. Yes, there we go. There's that handsome face of yours. No, brilliant.
You look
Good
all
stuff.
there.
It's all right. I was going to drop you a text, but I thought it'd be quicker and easier just to say it on here. But yeah, no, that's interesting. You've taught me a lot about that little venture of yours, and it probably was ahead of your time, ahead of its time. Sorry. You never know. There might be room for it now, right? Now that you're an entrepreneur, might be able to spin that back up, do a bit of market analysis, see if there's a gap for it.
But I think one of the things that I'm very envious of about software entrepreneurs, one of my good friends is is in that space, and it's you're building recurring revenue.
Yeah,
Not huge amounts often. Well, it depends on, I guess, the nature of the software. It's like unless you really do a kind of bad job, they're going to keep paying you for it. And you
yeah,
don't necessarily have to spend that much time. And I'm always a little bit envious of that because I think over
yeah.
time the compounding effect is in a few years he probably will earn a very decent wage and just be able to just do whatever he wants pretty much all day.
Yeah, profit margins are a little bit tastier in software than other places that I've seen. A lot tastier. Anyway, yeah, so this is a question I kind of just spun up on the fly before this. You've alluded to the new generation demand venture, but I'd love to hear a little bit about that. You know, we spoke about it offline, but like, tell me about your journey to being a founder. I had a laugh about tax returns. You're not worried about them. The one I was self-employed for a couple of years, probably because they were trying to dodge all types of tax barriers. The company at the time, who will remain unnamed, it was a long time ago that though. But
Very wise.
the one tax advisor who I had, whatever accountant, sorry, not tax advisor. I went to his house once with the most meticulous folder, which means I could have done it myself. The most meticulous folder, all receipts, all outgoings, incomings, all that stuff. And someone came in a couple of minutes after me, dropped a bin bag of receipts in front of him. We paid the same amount of money, and he was smoking in his house as well, which is always a bad sign if someone sat smoking in the living room. What type of quality can you see from them? But yeah, tell me a little bit about your journey to being a founder. You know how you found it.
Yeah, well, it's very, in the early days, it was very exciting and terrifying, frankly.
Hmm.
You kind of go through the motions a bit of this is going to be the best thing ever to, oh my God, what have I done? This is the worst decision of my life. All of the different things that you don't necessarily like when you're an employee, you're sheltered, I think, from a lot
Yeah,
of the
realities.
challenges that a business
Yeah,
owner face. That it's all sometimes easy as an employee to think about, oh well, moan a bit or whatever, but then when you're on the other side of it, you realize all the other stuff that comes with it and the responsibility that a business owner bears, especially when you hire people. Obviously, at the minute it's just me.
yeah,
But yeah, the kind of, I mean, we're doing this for about not even two months yet,
yeah,
but it feels like 2 years. Frankly, it feels like
yeah.
every day and every week. Feels a lot longer than it actually is. But been quite lucky actually.
Hmm. Hmm.
Working with some great clients, probably quite far ahead than I thought I would be at this stage.
Yeah, I love to hear that.
Could go for three or to 6 months with no revenue and it's going to suck, but like that's just what you have to do. But thankfully, I think mixture of hard work and luck has kind of paid off really, and yeah, things going really well. I'm working with a lot of clients who have really interesting challenges.
Yeah,
They have something, a really interesting offer, unique
yeah,
offer. They just don't quite know how to say what they do and how the problems that they actually solve for clients and
yeah,
who they should even be targeting. In fact,
yeah.
two of my clients this week, we've had this kind of moment of realization
The light bulb.
when they've gone, hang on a minute, actually, personally, as a business owner, what I want to be spending my time on is X, Y, and Z. So, and this would mean these types of outcomes for me in the business. It's hilarious how many companies when you ask them who's your ideal customer profile and
Oh, no idea.
who pays you the most. Quite not quite the same, which is always a bit ironic, to be honest.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. And you've always been a really likable guy, so I'm not surprised that, you've managed to strike a good client base off the bat. And one thing that's always, I've found really nice about you, mate, is you haven't been a fluffy marketer at any point. You've always, even going back to the Durham Lane days, you've always thought, right, and I don't know what your little tagline for it was, but right, it's not how many MQLs we generate, it's not how many clicks, how many views, how many submissions we get of forms. It's the ROI at the end of that. It's the revenue or pipeline that comes off the back of that, and it's a massive breath of fresh air to not have that fluff. So there's absolutely a component of that being the reason, I think, why you've struck a chord so quickly.
Thanks, babe.
You're not walking into the
Appreciate
jobs,
it.
not walking into
You,
the job centre 6 months after this.
well, it's still time, mate. It's still time.
Yeah, you got to keep them happy. You got to keep them happy. But at least it's all in your control now as well. It's at least I like being in control. And I was mentored in the past, and I would say, you need to trust your team and have faith in your team. It's all good and well saying that when you don't get to pick them and all that.
Yeah.
It's definitely a big component, I think, is the lack of fluff, likability, eye on the prize. I was mentioning a little bit before this the video that I'm going to put out on LinkedIn as well, and it's all about the first 30 seconds of a cold call and how I started off being a right cocky bastard, gift of the gab. Oh, how you doing? How's the weather? Oh, I noticed you went to Newcastle University. Do you remember getting pissed here and stuff like that? And it works 10% of the time,
Mm.
but you need something repeatable and scalable to move you in the cold conversation beyond that first 30 seconds. And I'm learning at Connect and Sell here. And we work very closely actually over the years with Chris Voss. Never split the difference.
Yeah.
Obviously, phoning hostage takers in that situation. Every call is a cold call, and it has to, in that first 30 seconds, move beyond. Oh, I've seen on LinkedIn your favorite red wine is Chateauneuf de Pape. Let me tell you about how it's got to be impactful and meaningful, right? What's in it for them? How can I move them from a fearful state of I am a stranger ambushing them, catching them off guard, which is everyone's immediate response on a cold call, because we still
Yeah,
we still are
100%.
Paleolithic in our brains, right? We're still hunter-gatherers in the way that we operate and think, um, chemistry-wise, brain-wave-wise. So what you do, you've got to move them from a fearful state to a trustful state to a curious state, all right? And that has to happen. If you can get that repeatable, you're going to get into a place in the cold call where you can just use the gift of the gab a little bit and have cracking rapport with them. But you need to have a what's in it for them component. And the quickest way to move them from that fearful state to that curious state is to say, I can help you, Sean, overcome this economic challenge or get this economic benefit. The same for something emotional and the same for something strategic. You have those three pillars to an opening of a cold call. More often than not, you're going to get them going, how do you do that? Then you can spread your wings, sorry, and fly.
And I've just got a combined history and sales lesson there.
You know me, big
Yeah.
history geek,
I,
sales
I,
student.
I always thought when you used to, I mean, there's so many people talking about different openers when it comes to a cold call and even like email. What's the best practice on email? But I always thought you used to do, and you probably still do in fairness, but the most obscure emails. But the open rates and reply rates were always really high. I remember saying to you, that's never going to work for us. Then, like, surprisingly, you would get like all these meetings off the back of it. And I was like, how
Yeah,
how do you do that? How do you think of these obscure interesting openers that pique interest. But what you said there on appealing to those like different elements of, and not defaulting to the usual stuff that people do.
Yeah, bit of luck.
Go on, what's your best example of that recently?
What from me? I had a wicked one this morning, actually. Hi there, Russell Renton here at Connect and Sell. Sean, I know I'm an interruption, a pattern interrupt. I'd just like to take 27 seconds of your time to tell you why I called. Upfront contract, they're both Sandler sales techniques. Brilliant. Somebody turned around and he went, mate, I've got 25 seconds. If you're not done before then, you can piss off. And that's the only response that I want. I don't care. I'm not expecting, yeah, sure, let's book a meeting. I just want them to have a little giggle and just like get out of that fearful state. Sean,
Who is it, by the way? Sorry, who is it who came up with that 27 seconds?
I think it was. I don't know. I don't want to take the shine off him. I think it might have been Jerry. But it's used quite a lot in the business. And going through my training for Connect and Sell was a bit like it's wishy-washy. I don't know if that'll work for me. Can't live without it now. But then I got into it.
Yeah.
Right. I believe, not we believe, being the business. I believe that we've discovered a breakthrough that completely eliminates the waste and frustration that prevents sales reps from prospecting effectively on the telephone. What? Big, vague statement. And then sometimes I throw in a bit of a problem statement, like, look, more than ever now, I'm seeing salespeople hiding behind their emails, hiding behind LinkedIn, and just not having a conversation with the prospects. You know, I just want to get 15 minutes in the calendar to understand if that breakthrough I mentioned could mean anything to you. And I don't really stray much from that anymore, to be honest. It's repeatable, it's scalable. Might change a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I must say that day that you gave me a go on Connect and Sell.
Yeah.
You know what it is? I was terrified, right? Because a lot of marketing leaders don't really do cold calls. A few of them will dish out advice. And you actually ask them to do it. It's I remember like you were like, "How then? Come on then, Sean." And I was like, "Shit." It's like, here we go. It was like a dead quiet office. And I was just down here like, what have I signed up for here? But actually, you know what it is? It was actually fun.
Yeah.
Like, towards the end, when you get into your flow and you try those pattern interrupts, I think all marketing people should make cold calls and also should take inbounds. Maybe not like all day.
Yeah.
That is the job of a sales guy, but it was just so useful.
Yeah.
To understand what do people really think and what do they respond to.
Well, you used, and I mentioned it in the video actually, you used the Sandler opener, I think, if I can remember. This is a cold call. You can hang up now if you want.
Yeah.
But I've seen quite a lot of people using that actually. Ben Lind, Hive HR, just joined Home People. He was using that opener, so props to him on that one. It works. It's just a pattern interrupt. It's like, it's an upfront contract and probably a bit of a pattern interrupt in one, actually.
I think I think there was one person who said, "Oh, I was like, oh, whatever, this is a cold call. Would you like to hang up?" And he went, "Yes."
Well, I'll ring you back next week. Try 27 seconds.
I think there's been this like resurgence on LinkedIn I've seen from a couple of people, like some up and coming influencers, people like Zach Thompson from we have a meeting, and his colleague Jack, and they're the way they approach sales I find is really interesting because they're almost trying to get to the no.
Yeah.
It's like you're almost trying to talk someone out of a meeting with you, trying to qualify them out. And it's like a really almost like I was saying this to like someone the other day, and they went, "Is that like some kind of Jedi mind trick?" I was like, "Well, don't know really. Yeah, probably, I guess, but no, it's not at the same time, because you're just being authentically human by saying, look, I'm calling you for this reason. Like, you probably aren't suffering any of these problems, are you? Like,
this is not the solution you're looking for. That's it.
Yeah, but most people in sales think they have to try and talk someone into a meeting.
Yeah.
And there's a time and a place for that, I guess. Some depending on whatever the situation is. But
yeah, I'll not go. Sorry, carry on.
Go, you go.
No, no, I was just going to say I've learned a lot in the last few months, and it's a big misconception with salespeople, particularly inside salespeople who use the phone a lot, that they need to sell the products on the first call or the proposition or the concept. The first call is about selling the meeting, which goes hand in hand with everything I was saying about what's in it for them. You're not closing them on the first call, but if you can sell the meeting, why they should take it, then that's um, the way to think about it. I think that small mindset change will help a lot of people, and I'm going to start shouting about it a lot more. I think not too
I
much
think
of the
it's,
secret sauce though.
yeah, well, it's the kind of same thing in marketing, really. I think that if you try and craft copy and design a campaign or a document or whatever it is,
Hmm.
where you're trying to qualify out people that wouldn't be a good fit
Hmm.
and entice people who are and who are suffering the problems and not making them think about, is this right for them, or haven't, because often it's people talking about products and features and benefits, and there's a disconnect between what the person that's reading it is actually experiencing, and they have to work to understand what that means for them.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing in sales. It's just, and that's why I think marketing is just another form of sales, really.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Just further up the funnel. Well, speaking of marketing and what we're talking about now, you know, um, you've probably got a couple that probably changed actually a little bit for you over the last 6 months. This is one of my favorite questions actually, but tell me about your favorite couple of tools of the trade, right? If you're a brickie, it's your knicker and your hammer, right? The little wedge thing to knock the bricks out, because I was doing some of that last weekend actually
But yeah,
in the house. Yeah, the bricklayer who I had round. I tried to help him. I thought I was his apprentice, and I was doing really well actually, really well until I had to knock up some muck. So what's that? Make some cement for him, right? And the little tip of the trade there, again, little tool, is to squirt fairy liquid into the water. Stops the cement from becoming too porous. I forgot to do it, and then for like 4 hours, had him kicking off. Yeah, 50 years of experience out the window. Oh, you young'uns, you snowflakes, don't listen. But yeah,
it's funny you should say that, right? Because I've like, I live in a new build house, so it's not
right.
that new these days. But I've noticed on the cement line of my house, some of the bits have started to go like really white. And I was saying this to my neighbor because I've noticed his is the same, and he said it's because people do that because they put like washing up liquid in the cement, and over time the reaction makes it go all white. And I was like,
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. There's like expensive versions you can buy of it, like proper versions, but like people who've been doing it for a lifetime know to just get the fairy liquid and just give it a little squirt in there, and
even cheaper,
there's
why
there's
not?
there's loads of benefits. But if you're
Yeah,
ever working helping someone make cement, never forget it, because it really does make you feel like a desk-based worker when you're getting like shouted at, like, yeah, you don't you proper work trade, you don't deserve to be on this site, go back upstairs on your computer, do some Zoom calls.
honestly, I feel I'm all I'm not all right really. I was going to say I'm all right with some stuff,
Hmm.
like when it comes to like traditional man's work, like fixing stuff and like the other day I changed three light bulbs in my house. One was in like the hood of my cooker,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I don't know what it was, right? Because was a bit of like fiddling and jiggery pokery, and it wasn't straightforward. And I just felt really like good about myself. I was like, oh, I'm the man of the house changing light bulbs. And Amy was like, it's not that hard what you've just done. Like maybe try and wire it in next time. And I was like, definitely not,
yeah.
definitely
So what's your favorite
not.
tools then, as a
Get back to marketing. Favorite tools really are, and I did a video about this actually. I came across it by accident, and there's a free version of Bombora, which is called Company
all right,
Surge
yeah, I
Surge
saw your
Alerts.
post about that actually.
Because Bombora is traditionally a very expensive tool,
Hmm.
and yeah, there's a free version of it. You sign up for it, and you get an email every Monday afternoon of the top 10 companies that are it thinks are in market for your or topics related to your products and services. It
Yeah,
works
yeah.
better for some companies than others. So, like for some of my clients, it's been very, very effective.
Hmm.
For others, not quite as much. You only
Yeah,
really want to pick like three or four because you only get 10 companies. So if you pick 12 topics, you're just going to get a mixed bag of stuff. And then it's how you then use it. So, I had loads of people message me afterwards going, okay, like, I'm going to ask nicely. Tell me how you actually do it. What do you then do with that information? Because if you have a company of like a few hundred people, who is it in that
yeah,
organization? It's urgent. So there's kind of two
yeah.
ways of doing that. The first one is the actual copy of the email itself. I just say something like, hi, first name. Little birdie told me the company name is in the market for topic, whatever. Am I right or completely backing up the wrong tree? And in most cases, people reply and say, yes, how did you know? Or others will say, barking up the wrong tree, it's so and so you need to speak to him.
Yeah,
But then in terms of tools, which I still swear by, I do not understand why LinkedIn does not make more noise about smart links, because LinkedIn smart links is the best product it has by
yeah.
far.
Is it still called Smartlinks, or is that the new name and it was Point?
It was called Point Drive, yeah.
Yeah,
It was called Point Drive. So the new smart links, which you can't just buy either, I don't think. You can
yeah.
buy sales apps, sort of self-serve. You have to ask them for it, which is just
Mm.
I don't quite understand why.
Good though. It's
It,
a good thing
it
though as
tells
well.
you,
Yeah,
yeah. For those who don't know, it tells you as long as people have a LinkedIn profile, you can send them a link with different types of content, and it will tell you what people are viewing and for how long on each page in real time. It even hosts native YouTube
yeah.
videos
Links. Yeah, URL.
and tells you how long people have viewed it for. Game changing tool, so effective if used right, and yet they don't even talk about it. Like they
Yeah,
try and flog other things that are nowhere near as good.
we
And I
used to
think it
use
might
it.
be because the recipient doesn't know that you know that they're viewing it because there's no gated form. I
Hmm.
think if more people knew about it, they might not be happy about that, or they might not engage with them as much. I think that might be why LinkedIn doesn't shout
Shout
about it as
about
much.
it. Yeah, well, we used it really effectively a few times, didn't we? You would be hosting a new white paper. You would see who was showing them good intent signals, right? Spending more than 10 seconds on the first page, and then you'd sling it over to me, Lusher, Cognizant, boom, get them on the phone. So you spent 5 minutes on page four. Let me tell you a little bit about that. We executed on that one really effectively in quite a few instances, actually. I'll be
I think
amazed if we didn't have some revenue attribution to it, actually.
I think sometimes, it's even just like just being a little bit more um like using that information in a more subtle way.
Yeah, instead
So
of like,
and that's why it comes to when marketing can almost do the job of sales and try and qualify. If you structure the content correctly, so page four talks around a certain pain point or use case or whatever it is, and then the recipient views that page for a certain amount of time and only a few seconds on the rest. As a sales guy, if I pass you that intel, you can go into that conversation armed with the intel to have a better conversation and ask better questions than going in blind. And I think that for me was the kind of real game changer. Because I think people find it a little bit creepy. If you go, oh, so you spent 3.5 minutes on page four. Like, how did you know that?
yeah, yeah, there's people
It's
a
a bit
little
like
bit.
actually was because you used to do this a lot, when you used these tools like Lusher and Cognizant to get people's direct dials. Like, what? Because people would ask you, wouldn't they? They'd be like, "How did you get this phone number? Like, what did you used to say?"
Yeah, it's quite an easy one to overcome, actually. I think a lot of people are really scared of it, but I use a tool called Lusher. I'll take you off our system if you'd like. Quite happens quite often when it's a personal number. I'll take you off our system if you like, and then I'll send you over a link to the website. You can get in touch with them directly if you want it struck from the system. I mean, Jerry, you've been trying a really funny one recently, actually. How did you get this number? I paid through the nose for it. Let's just see what they say. We haven't. It's only happened a couple of times so far, so there's not any definitive data or anything if it's going to work. But it's just a bit tongue in cheek, isn't it? It's just a bit Fair enough. What do you
In
want?
fairness, though, if someone said that, it would almost make them feel like,
Special.
yeah, they might want to speak to it. But what I thought was funny sometimes with using Lusher, and then because we would often try and prospect to sales leaders, and you'd be like, how do you get this number? Oh,
Yeah.
I use Lusher. Oh, really? What else?
Didn't know about it, right? Yeah, and you
Yeah.
teach them something. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, this is the last question for me today. What's your go-to favorite media? Books is a bit of a boring one actually, so I'll not say media, but like favorite TV show, films, maybe podcasts a little bit. Like obviously the Wolf of Wallsend. I think that's the eighth or ninth time I've used that joke now. But what's from a sales perspective, but also from a marketing perspective? I don't know, Mad Men, perhaps a little bit in that category, advertising and marketing. People would also say sales as well, that would agree. But what's your favorite media? Something that's like, ooh, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to find some business. I want to do some great work for my clients. I want to generate them X amount of demand. And then, yeah, what gives you the spur on
You
that?
know what? This might be I might be the only marketing leader to say I've never watched Mad Men.
Yeah, I watched a couple. I've got a degree in advertising. I watched 2 episodes, I think.
Never really watched it. I mean, maybe it's different in marketing bursts, but
Yeah,
I don't really. I wouldn't say I watch stuff to get me fired up. I kind of,
got enough of
normally
that.
fit. Yeah, exactly. Fit through them anyway. I mean, the kind of obvious ones really, like Demand Gen Live, which is hosted by Chris Walker.
Oh, you've loved that
Um,
for a long time, haven't you?
yeah,
You've got a
Refine
lot from that.
Labs. It's been really interesting to watch those guys because they're like probably the B2B demand generation podcast and thought leaders. Like they're what I would say opinion formers now, not opinion leaders. Like they form the opinion. Like
Yeah,
Dark Social. I
yeah.
think they're the first ones who started speaking about it. Then everyone starts speaking about Dark Social. So that's been, I've watched them in awe, just being like, how can I try and emulate some of this guy's
Yeah.
success? Yeah, absolutely, really good podcast, and Dave Gerhardt as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Who's he CMO Drift, is that right? Am I thinking of someone else?
Yeah, he was CMO Drift, and then he left to go look, and then he went back as like chief brand officer for a few months, and now he's gone full time with his he had like a community called DGMG or something. Now he's changed it, but yeah, I love the videos that he does because they just remind you. So I guess in answer to your question, the thing that I enjoy the most is when you get somebody on a video or a podcast or whatever saying something that is so simple and so kind of gut punching because it's so easy to forget the core principles of sales marketing because we live in a world right, where there's so much noise,
Hmm.
so many channels, you have to do so much, you never really switch off, and then they'll just post a video that says, whatever you're doing, what is the goal? What is the goal of what you are doing this for? Is it awareness? Is it lead gen? Is it X, Y, and Z? And then you think so many times you try and do all of those things.
Yeah. Jack of
Marketing's trying
all.
to say, well, no, that's not how things work. Just reminding people that it's about your target buyer, like your customer, the person who pays you.
Hmm.
Like there are many anecdotes, right, that me and you know for our time, obviously, when we worked for a demand generation company together, when the language that the company wanted to use was not the language that the people paying you used. So why are you talking in a different way of the people who are going to pay you? Why are you alienating them and making them feel somehow like I think it's because companies want to be seen as experts and want to be seen as knowledgeable. So they want to use a vocabulary that makes them come across as
Yeah.
knowledgeable.
Yeah.
When really it's like the company just wants, they use things like telesales. Right? It's like
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
fashioned
It
thing,
makes you think of it.
So
It makes you feel a bit crap as well, doesn't it? When like telesales, kinda. But yeah, I think marketing
Mind
is
you,
used. Yeah.
someone asked me today, how many retweets have we got on Facebook? Get out.
Does it matter? Like, yeah, it's a vanity metric, isn't it? Well, look, mate, wrapping up nicely here, 35 minutes. I'm happy with that. Really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you very much for having you. Thank you very much for coming on. It's been great having you on. I just wanted to ask though, just in case anyone was wondering, I forgot, but what's the name of the Surge Alert? You said, is that just the name of it?
Yeah, so it's Company Surge Alerts by Bombora.
Right, yeah,
I
like
think
if,
the
yeah,
URL is something like bombora.com/CSA hyphen alerts. Can maybe check that and send you a link, Russ.
yeah, no worries. Lovely. Oh well, if you get that link over, I might put it in the
Can I
description
just
of
say,
this
by the way, I
video.
have no affiliation to Bombora at all.
Not yet, not until they come
Well, yeah,
crawling with
anyway,
their
yeah.
partnership agreement.
Stop paying me.
Yeah. Well, look, mate, I may see you in the streets of Durham tomorrow. Avoid me at all costs. But no, absolute pleasure, Sean. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you,
You're a
Russ.
legend, mate.
Cheers.